Hello and welcome to HBM's Cryptid-Corner for Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. We have quite a few things to talk about, so let's get started. Well, apparently some people seem to be convinced they have found the cave that the Loch Ness Monster hides out in. It's very beautiful, apparently. Last month, the largest search of the Loch Ness in recent history was done in an attempt to find the ever-elusive Nessie. The lake monster is said to have survived in the icy waters since the time of the dinosaurs. No evidence was found of the beast lurking in the dark layers of the water, but evidence of those potential caves has been claimed to be discovered, and on land no less.
Where the Loch Ness Monster hides. In August 2023, we went on search of the caves at Loch Ness. After a long search, this is what we found. Entrances to caves. This one was flooded. Shall we die?
Interesting. Doesn't mean those are caves with Nessie in them, but interesting to see that there are caves not too far from Loch Ness. I was unaware there were any caves close to Loch Ness. Now, there may be some in the under the water of Loch Ness. Maybe that's where Nessie lives, or where the creatures live, because there would have to be more than one. There would have to be more than one Nessie. You can't just have one Bigfoot. You have to have a multiplicity. What's the word I'm looking for? You have to have a viable population of Sasquatch. You can't just have one. You have to have more than one Nessie. You can't just have one. There have to be multiple Nessies and multiple Sasquatch. So, but it's interesting that there are caves, which I was unaware of, on the shore near Loch Ness. Again, the Nessie creatures, Loch Ness monsters, not just one, would have to use probably underwater caves to live in. Maybe that's why they weren't detected on sonar last month. Although it's claimed that they were heard, but they were not recorded. I remember I mentioned about 2 or 3 weeks ago that some researchers claimed to have heard some strange noises coming from under the water, but they weren't. The sounds were not recorded, however. So, well, back to the drawing board. Now, here's something strange. Lake Superior apparently has a feline lake monster. There are even ancient pictographs of it. There are many legends about mysterious water monsters that lurk in the lakes and seas of the world. Most people have heard of the legendary Loch Ness Monster of Scotland, and some claim to have seen the serpentine Ogopogo in a lake in British Columbia. But Lake Superior has its own water creature of legend, the powerful Mishipeshu, an aquatic feline entity of great power and danger.
You know there's an underwater beast that lives in Lake Superior? It's called Mishipeshu, which means the Great Lynx in Anishinaabe-Moan. Here is a pictograph of Mishipeshu at Lake Superior Provincial Park at the Agawa Pictograph Site. It has feline characteristics, but also resembles a dragon with horns and scales made of copper. Living in Lake Superior near Mishpekatan Island, it's thought to be the source of Lake Superior's huge waves, riptides, and crazy weather.
Arising from Ojibwa tradition, the Mishipeshu is said to be a great lynx, a massive underwater panther with the head and claws of a large cat, but razor-like spikes on its back and a long serpentine tail. In some stories it is horned like a deer or a bison, and its coat can be scaly, feathery, or possess wire hairs like strands of copper. They say it guards hordes of copper like a dragon and lives in the deepest parts of lakes and rivers and makes a sound like storms or rushing rapids. This sounds more legendary than anything else. It doesn't sound credible. It doesn't sound like it's a species of creature. It sounds like some sort of a legend. Well, that's what they call it, a creature of legend. Have people actually seen this thing? Well, there's a pictograph of it. But how do we know that these individuals who made the pictograph were not making something up? This is the first I've ever even heard of this particular type of individual creature, whatever it is. It seems to me not to have any basis in reality. It seems to be more legendary than anything else. Unlike Sasquatch, unlike Nessie, unlike other water monsters. I gotta say, I'm a bit skeptical of this one. Very skeptical. Now, here's something weird. Unusual creature found in Brazil is world's first known fox-dog hybrid, study says.
Unusual creature found in Brazil is world's first known fox-dog hybrid, study says. In the Disney movie, The Fox and the Hound, the two eponymous animals become unlikely friends. It turns out, the pairing may not have been so far-fetched. A dog-fox hybrid was recently discovered in Brazil, and it is believed to be the first known crossbreed between the two creatures. The strange-looking canine was found after it was run over by a car in 2021. It was rushed to a hospital in Rio Grande do Sul, the country's southernmost state, where it stumped veterinarians who did not know what to make of it. The black, pointy-eared animal displayed unusual characteristics, appearing neither fully wild nor fully domestic. It was not as docile as a dog, but it also lacked the aggressiveness expected of a wild canid when handled, Flavia Ferrari, a conservationist, told The Telegraph. Intrigued, researchers ran a series of tests in order to identify the animal's genetic makeup. They determined it was a hybrid between a pampas fox, a fox native to South America, and a domestic dog, according to a study published on August 3 in the journal Animals. To our knowledge, this represents the first documented case of hybridization between these two species, researchers said. Just a quick word from our sponsor.
So, I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on my car insurance.
So you told your agent you play the bagpipes for your dog?
What? No, I didn't get that personal. My agent just helped me create an affordable price just for me. Okay, let me show you what I've been working on. Hey, Buster!
Call State Farm agent Cindy Crestman in Clarksdale today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This discovery implies that, although these species diverged about 6.7 million years ago and belong to different genera, they might still produce viable hybrids, researchers said. The hybrid has been called a dogiexum, a combination of dog and Graxem do Campo, the Portuguese name for the pampas fox, according to The Telegraph. The animal died earlier this year of an unspecified cause. Hybrid animals are created both through human coercion and natural pairings in the wild, according to a 2021 study published in the journal Annals of Animal Science. About 10% of animal species interbreed with other species, typically ones that are closely related. Mules, a cross between donkeys and horses, and ligers, a mix between lions and tigers, are two examples of hybrids created by humans, according to the study. In the wild, deer and elk species are known to interbreed. The creation of hybrids can have a negative impact on wild populations, including by transmitting various diseases across species, researchers said. However, most man-made hybrids are infertile.
Next article.
Unusual splashes lead boaters to sea.
Well, there you have it. A fox-dog hybrid. Now this happened 2 years ago. So this creature is the result of two species interbreeding. Quite interesting, quite fascinating, you have to say that much. Seems like perhaps some more photographs have been taken of Loch Ness's most famous resident. This is one of the photos, apparently. Two pictures of something which may or may not be the Loch Ness Monster turned up on social media in the last few days. The first to look at was sent to Alan McKenna of the Loch Ness Exploration Group, who recently ran the Quest Monster Hunt Weekend. It came from a Richard Wilson who had actually taken the picture in question on the 18th of January 2015, just before noon. Richard filled in a sighting report for the LNE, which gave the following details. At Doray's Beach, an object thought to be head-like at a range of 70 to 100 meters was visible for several minutes. Richard and his wife walked away but returned 15 minutes to find it had gone. The waters were calm and the object looked to be stationary. The appearance was of a green-gray color with a white band across its quote-unquote face. There were no wakes visible caused by this object or any boats. Only one photograph is available or was taken at the time. So maybe it's just a stationary object if no wakes were created by it. It looks a little bit like a dog head with something in its mouth. But it would have had to create waves, and obviously this did not create any waves. So here's a close-up of it. And this is one that was taken more recently on 14th of September. And here is what appears to be some sort of a wake of something. This apparently occurred on August 27th, but it's only just been reported in the official Loch Ness Monster Sightings Register. Interesting. And here is a chronicle of that weekend, a few weekends ago, of the search for Nessie, the concentrated search that took place back in late August, the quest for Nessie. Weekend of August 26th began what nationally was called the Quest, the latest mass organized attempt to search for the famous Loch Ness Monster. This was a joint venture between the Loch Ness Exploration L&E group, founded by Alan McKenna, and the staff of the new Loch Ness exhibition owned by Continuum Attractions. As a seasoned monster hunter myself, I had some input into the matter, though the whole matter was run by the L&E and Loch Ness Center. It was a convenient coincidence for me, as I normally go up to the loch around late August for my own purposes, but was happy to join in the search as things moved towards that weekend. So, in giving my own perspective on that weekend, I'll mainly describe it in a travelogue manner, going through it chronologically. It was certainly the busiest time I had ever encountered at Loch Ness. This is some of the equipment that I guess was used, including, well, looks like some beer and some photographs. It just basically goes through the entire weekend. Some good photographs and a really interesting article. Really good stuff. Speaking of lake monsters, there may be one in China of all places. Watch, legendary lake monster filmed in China. Well, something is creating some sort of a wake there. Intriguing piece of footage from China shows a sizable serpent-like creature swimming in a lake, and some suspect that the mystery animal could be the site's legendary monster. The remarkable video was reportedly captured late last month by a Shanghai resident, identified as Ms. Lee, who was vacationing at the picturesque Lake Tianqi. During a walk along the shore of the site, which is also known as Heaven Lake, she heard a curious sound coming from the water. At first, I thought it might be several fish, she later recalled. But upon closer inspection, it was just one long, silver-colored creature. Taken aback by the peculiar aquatic animal, which he estimated to be around 50 feet in length, Lee managed to capture footage of the fast-moving oddity with her cell phone. Let's take another look. So what could this be? Could this be some sort of a lake monster? Or just a group of fish? Or a really big snake? I imagine there are snakes in China. Really hard to determine exactly what it is just from the footage. It's fascinating, however. Finally, new human species? Mystery surrounds 300,000-year-old fossil. A chinless jawbone from eastern China that displays both modern and archaic features could represent a new branch of the human family tree. A fossilized jawbone discovered in a cave in eastern China bears a curious mix of ancient and modern features, according to a detailed analysis that compares it with dozens of other human specimens. The finding, published in the Journal of Human Evolution, indicates that the 300,000-year-old bone could have belonged to an as yet undescribed species of archaic human. Scientists excavating a cave called Hualongdong located in Anhui province in eastern China, have unearthed remains of 16 individuals that date to around 300,000 years ago. Several fragments belong to the skull of a 12 to 13-year-old juvenile. Shi Wu, a paleoanthropologist at the Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology and Paleoanthropology in Beijing, and her colleagues first described the skull in 2019. But in 2020, while sifting through trays of animal bones found in the cave, they identified a fragment of a mandible, the lower part of the jaw, that could be another piece of the same skull. So, if they're still making discoveries like this, which sort of, you might say, overturn previous theories of human evolution, then what else could be out there? Now, what about hairy bipeds, giant hairy bipeds from around the world? Is Gigantopithecus a representation of those hairy bipeds? That's a good question. Or are they Australopithecus? Are they Paranthropus? What are these creatures? The ones in Russia seem to be more Neanderthal than anything else. They seem to be, for lack of a better word, more human-like, the ones in Russia. But I don't know. Very interesting stuff. Speaking of Bigfoot, an 18-year tradition in Willow Creek, California is no more. Bigfoot Books has burnt down. A young man named Stephen Stroifert, I know Stephen, by the way, very unfortunate that his bookstore burnt to the ground. He basically lost his home. He was living in the bookstore, or in the back, I should say. Bigfoot Books was an open general stock used bookstore 1.5 miles east of downtown Willow Creek, California. I carefully use the past tense because Stephen Stroifert, the owner, is sharing that early in September 2023, a fire there destroyed his business. It is a total loss. Photo above. On Friday of Labor Day weekend, September 1st of 2023, the Bigfoot Books fire burned or ruined the entire remaining inventory, which was being sold off. Because Stephen has been in shock, he only recently shared the news as a friend posted a GoFundMe to assistance Stephen to get him back on his feet. And you can help out by donating here. The store had been around for years and was a stopping point for visitors to Willow Creek. Photographs below are all pre-fire. Well, obviously. Here's Bobcat Goldthwait and Tom Yamaro. And here's Yams with Craig Flippy and Bobo and Cliff Barrickman. Of course, there's Stephen and Lauren Coleman visiting. From what I understand, Stephen is going to start selling some of his stuff, some of his, what's the word I'm looking for? Some of his stock that he had in storage. He's going to start selling it. And here's an address which works just fine for deliveries. even though basically he's living out of his car now. Rather sad and unfortunate. And, I hope that he'll be able to get back on his feet soon, because this is just terrible. It really is. Steve and I, we haven't always gotten along over the years, but this just sucks for him. It really does. It's unfortunate. An 18-year tradition in Willow Creek. I went to the bookstore in 2017 when I was there. And I purchased several books from his bookstore. So, it was fun. It was a fun experience. It was interesting. I enjoyed myself there. Just hope Steven can get back on his feet soon. And that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, and I always mean it. And I'll continue as long as you guys want me to. And hey, until next week, y'all be good or be good at. This is May-HBM's Crypto Corner.